Hello everyone, it's Karen here from tuppenscolour.co.uk. Thank you for joining me again. Today's project is this little 4x4 card. When you open it up, inside there is a suspended element, a dangly bit if you like. This particular colourway is nice and bright and cheerful, and I thought it might be nice for a boy. So the one I'm going to make today is going to be more girly, feminine colours. So stick with me and we'll get started. To begin with, I've cut myself a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock, and I've cut it to 8 inches by 8 inches, and I've scored it at 4 inches on that side and 4 inches on that side. And I'm just going to fold it over to make sure that my folds are going in the right direction, because I want to make sure that I'm working to begin with on the inside of the card. Now I'm going to cut away this corner here in that direction, and it does have to be this corner because I made a few versions of these which didn't come out right. That was because I chopped off the wrong corner. So I've got my stamping trimmer. I'm going to put my scoring tool out of my scoring blade, out of the way, and I'm just lining it up so that I'm going to be cutting diagonally from corner to corner. Okay, so I'm just lining that up so that the corner, each edge, folded edge, is in line with a little groove that the blade runs along. And there we are, I've chopped the corner off. Now you could use the scissors to do it. I've tried using the scissors to do it, and I found it didn't work particularly well. But I am going to bring in my scissors. I'm not particularly useful with the scissors, has to be said. So I'm going to cut away up as far as the point where the folds cross. So I'm just cutting as far as there. So that flap is now free. And now for this piece I'm going to cut away most of this square, but I'm going to leave about half an inch, centimetre, just so that I've got something to attach the glue to. I'll put those on one side because I can use them later on. And I'm just going to snip away my corners, and oops, so now my card folds up. So here's my card blank, and I've got most of my creases in. There's just one more fold line that I need to establish, and that is the fold line that runs from there to there. So again, you could use your Stampin' trimmer, but I found that, again, because the light today isn't particularly good, it's now autumn, and it was quite difficult to see where my start and finish point was. I found that it's easier to actually do it old school and to use a ruler and an embossing tool. So I've got my craft ruler, and I've made sure that I'm going perpendicular to that line. Alright, so I've lined up my guidelines along that edge there, and I'm just going to come in with my embossing tool, and that now should fit out of the way. I've punched out a heart from some Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. But I want it to be Blushing Bride colour. I want it to be pink. So I've got my Stampin' Up marker in Blushing Bride, and I'm going to just colour it in. But that's now a nice pretty colour. So while that's drying itself up a bit, I'm going to go and make the rest of the dangling element. So I have my 2 3/8 inch scallop circle punch, and it's just a little bit. Will that fit out of there? I'm using the scraps that I cut off the main part of the card, and if I'm very, very careful, that just fits in there. And I've punched out my scallop circle, and I've got my 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and I've got a piece of the basic black DSP, and I'm going to make sure I've got the right piece because I've got two that are not for punching. That's right, this is the one that is for punching. That could have gone a bit wrong because I would have punched out the wrong piece, and I can cut myself out a circle of that, and then that's my snail. Come here, snail. This is going to go on top of that. It's going to go that way up. Actually, I've picked up the wrong tape runner. This isn't my snail. This is my backup one I had to use the other day when I ran out of snail and had to wait for the order to be delivered. So that's not good. So I'm hoping that this now sticks together. Okay. So that's my centerpiece. So I'm going to line it up with the dots going in the right way, and I want to make sure I've got a scallop at the top of my scallop circle, the outer part of the scallop, not a dip is what I'm trying to say. So I think I'll use a glue dot or two to put this on, since I haven't got my come here. It's all going terribly well today. Not. Glue dots don't want to come off the back. Ah! Alright, and that now will go on to there. There we are. So there's my embellishment to dangle on the inside of my card, and I need to do one more thing to it before I string it up. And I've got my 1/16 of an inch hole punch, and I'm just going to punch a hole. Do it that way around so you can see it. Punch a hole just through that. Yeah, make sure I'm on the right one. I had a horrible moment when I thought I was going to be having an off-centered heart. Pinch that one through. Right, so now I'm going to string it up. So I've got my elastic beading cord here. Now somebody asked me about this the other day, and it is just ordinary elastic cord which you use for making stretchy bracelets and things like that. It's very, very strong. It's not expensive. It's widely available. I got it at my local Hobbycraft, but if you do a search for elastic beading cord, then you will find lots and lots of it. It comes in different colours. I like to use clear because it's difficult to see, and the gauge that I'm using is 0.5 millimeters, but again it comes in all kinds of gauges. Right, so now I am going to attempt to thread the cord through the hole at the top of the dangling bit, and this may not go terribly well. Right, let's use my pokey tool, piercing tool, whatever you want to call it, and just persuading that through the hole. There we are. Got it. Because it is easier when you can kind of actually get it so that you can look at it, but because I'm trying to keep my head out of the way of the camera, I am not operating under the best conditions. Okay, so I've got my loop and I've got my other two ends, and I'm just going to pull that through, and that now is strung. You see that? And I'm going to tie a square knot and across the top of it. And the second half of the square knot, I'm going to wrap it twice round the elastic. I think it's called a surgeon's knot because that just makes it a little bit stronger. Okay. And the reason why I've done that is because otherwise these things have a tendency to creep up and down the elastic. So that's my embellishment ready. Cut myself 2 squares of basic grey DSP from the neutrals stack, and I've cut it to 3 3/4 inches square, and I'm going to put tape on the back of these. And the reason why I'm using tape is that I want quite a strong cling on the back of them, and I also want to be able to control when the stick happens, if you know what I mean. So I want to be able to so fast fuse would work very well, in fact, but with fast fuse, once it's down, and with the tape you can be a little bit more controlled, because, well, I'll show you when I come to do it, but you can control when you take the backing off. There we are. So that's got tape on all 4 sides, and that's good and ready. So there are my 2 pieces of tape. Now I have to decide where I want my danglers to dangle, if you like, and I'm going to hold my pieces face to face, and I've got my 1/16 of an inch punch, and I'm going to put those the same side up. There's absolutely no reason, because you're not going to be able to see this side, but it just does me head in otherwise. So I'm going to say that I want it about that far from the front, so it's going to be quite near to the front, and I'm going to punch through with my 1/16 of an inch punch. If you haven't got one of those neat little punches, you can use, you know, something like your pokey tool. That'll work fine. Make sure you put something underneath it so you don't pierce through into your finger, because we've all done it. Okay, right, so here are my 2 pieces of DSP with the hole cut through the middle. I've put a bit of scrap card underneath to try and make it easier for you to see where they are. So this is going to be the left hand side, and this is going to be the right hand side. So we're going to try and work on the left hand side first. So I've got a little bit of fast fuse, and I'm just going to run that just below where the hole is. I'm not sure how well you can see the hole, but I can see it. I'm just going to put a little line there so that that bit is sticky. And with my dangly facing in the correct direction, I'm going to feed the elastic through my 1/16 of an inch hole, and I'm going to actually want to pull it quite tight because it is elastic. So I'm going to line it up sort of with, that work? No, actually I need to come in a bit further. Okay. So I'm going to pull that through so that the edge of my embellishment is level with the edge of my card, and I'm just going to stick that down at the back. A bit of sticky tape on the end if I can ever find the end of it. There we go. There it is. And this is just ordinary common garden sticky tape, the kind that you get in the stationers. And that's just to burnish that down just to stop that from moving around too much. Here we go with the first part of the assembly. Right, now the other piece of DSP, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to put my little bit of fast fuse underneath the edge there, and I'm going to find the other end of the elastic, which, being clear, is not all that easy to see, but trust me, it is there, and I'll thread that through. Come on, darling. Through you go. There you go. There it is. Okay. And same thing again. Pull that through. So that is on the edge of the card. Oops. And I'm going to try to make sure that I don't move it as I stick that bit straight down. So you do have to work a bit blind. Okay. Now, back out of the way. I'm going to tuck that, fold that backwards so it's out of the way just for a minute because I don't want it sticking in the wrong place. And I'm going to line that up on top of the one that's already stuck down. And then I'll bring that over. And hopefully that's all right. And then I can pull out these two pieces. Actually, I probably didn't need to do that. It was just me being super cautious. Okay. So now, when I open the card, there's my dangle. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to finish off the inside now. And to do that, a bit of fast fuse, if it wants to play. No, it doesn't. You know, fast fuse is wonderful stuff, but it is a bit moody on times. There we go. So that goes over there, and that goes over there, and we're nearly done with the inside. That all folds up. Nearly done with the inside. So the last bit that we've got to do, and again, this is kind of optional because it's up to you whether you want to leave that in self colour or whether you want to, whether you want to cover it. But I'm going to cover it just for the purposes today of showing you how to do it. So another 3 3/4 inch square piece of DSP, and I've chosen to use the same colour. I could have chosen a contrast if I'd wanted to. I'll just slice that up the middle along the diagonal, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go make sure I've got the point in my channel. Whoops, and cut those apart, and put the tape runner on the back. Put the tape runner on the back of this one. I could have used the same. Colour and used the script side, but I'm going to. Right. So that's the right angle. That bit goes to the front. In case you ever get confused, because it is quite easy once you've chopped things into triangles. It is easy to get them confused. So again, find the right angle. There it is, and that bit goes to the front. The hypotenuse goes along the back. Actually, is that right? Yes. If I'd given it a bit more thought, I could have matched up the patterns, but there we are. It is what it is. There you go. Right, so all I have to do now is to decorate the front. So, all I have to do now is to decorate the front of the card, and I've got myself another square of basic black DSP from the neutral stack, and I've cut that to 3 3/4 inches and 3 3/4 so that it fits there with a nice pink border around it, and I think it looks very, very elegant. But we're not going to leave it plain, of course we're not. So first of all, we're going to attach this to the front of the card using our tape runner. You know what? I wish I'd picked up my snail. I really do. Okay. Let's try and centre that as best we can. Okay, so there's my background. Now I've got a piece of, well, I've got a reel actually of our jute ribbon, which is really rather gorgeous stuff. So I'm going to have some of that on, I think. So let's have a look. Just that far. Yeah. I'm going to cut it at an angle. I'm going to cut both pieces at an angle so it goes across like that. Super. And we'll glue that down with a bit of tape, and I just put that just across the middle of the card like that. There we go. I like that. Okay, so for my sentiment, I've stamped this, which is from our Pictogram Punches stamp set. I'll bring that in to show you. It's this one here, and I've stamped it in basic grey archival ink. This comes as a bundle with the itty bitty punch pack, and you get 3 itty bitty punches, which are the same shape as the heart, the star, and the little flower. Very, very useful stamp punch set. I use it all the time, literally all the time. So before I stick that down, actually, I punched out one of the hearts in the glimmer paper, and I coloured it with the Blushing Bride marker. So I'm going to put that over the heart punch. Okay, that makes it a bit prettier. Let me see what else. Okay, let's stick it down. I think I'll use a couple of glue dots to stick this down, since I have them. Oh, and I just ran around the edge of this. I punched it out with our washi label punch. I should have said that. And I just ran around the edge of that with the marker as well while I had the marker in my hand. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It's very subtle. You can barely see it's there, but it makes just that little bit of difference. So I put that there like that. Now, I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate wasting glimmer paper. It hurts me because it's so gorgeous. And whenever I punch something out of our glimmer paper, I get in my itty bitty punches and I punch out some shapes, just so that I don't waste the paper. And as you can see, I store them all in a little plastic bag for when I want them. So I've decided I'm going to use some of the hearts that I've punched out on this card. So I'll have it. Okay, I've decided that this needs just one more thing, and I've got some of our Blushing Bride 1/4 inch cotton ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a bow. So I'm going to make my bunny ears, and I'm going to pull that through, and let's tighten that out. Okay, I think that'll do. Don't want to spend all day fettling bows. That'll do nicely, and that can go there. So another glue dot. Hopefully it wants to play this time. Yes, it does. And we'll put that in the corner there. And we're about to have a visit from the cat. Shoo, come on. You're gonna come and play. Okay. Right, okay, well, I'll finish this off and I'll come back in a minute. So here's my finished article, and if I open it up, there's my dangling element inside, ready to pop up and surprise the recipient. If I was sending this card, I think I would probably want to write my greeting and who it was from and so forth on the back of the card, because otherwise you're going to be fighting the elastic, and that might not be the easiest thing in the world. I want to bring back in the original version of the card, and on this one I used real red card, Lost Lagoon, and the ink is Lost Lagoon, and on the inside I've got Lost Lagoon card, real red, and I've punched a star out of our silver glimmer paper with the medium star punch, which was a new punch in this year's annual catalogue. So that's it. Two very, very different looks. I like them both actually, because otherwise I wouldn't have done them. I hope you like them too, and I hope you'll have a look at my blog, have a look at my Facebook page. By all means, please do leave me a comment underneath. I do love getting comments. But thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.